Let me say this. Dave, you have a platoon. In your platoon, there's two different, let's call them cliques. And they have two different ideas of what you should be focused on and how you should operate. And what you do is you sort of negotiate a piece between these two cliques, and you sort of compromise, and you figure out, hey, like, we'll do a little bit of this clique and a little bit of that clique, and you kind of bring these forces to a compromise. You get them working together. You get them to like take these things that they could be arguing about. You give one here and give the other side one here, and so you end up with a team that, although they're not perfectly in sync, they're at least sort of working together. My platoon, I have two cliques. And what I do is I get mad at them because they don't get along. And then I agree with one of the cliques actually a little bit more. And so I give them favoritism. And now we end up with this, head butting. Who's got a better platoon? Right? So if you think about this in a large strategic view, and you look at a place called the United States of America right now, and you look at how miraculously or strangely we've become super divisive about all kinds of things, to the point where we are banging against each other's heads and we don't get along. And we've got people that sit so far apart in their beliefs. Not only do they sit so far apart in their beliefs, they can't find common ground on anything. On anything. And we've got known actors in the world that make moves to increase the division between the sides of people that we have in America. And the people in America don't even recognize that all of this fighting is making our platoon weak. It's very interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting that we know that there are actors that are there are state actors that are creating divisiveness in our own country, and yet instead of saying, hey, you know what, actually we shouldn't argue about that stuff. Hey, you know what, Dave, you got your opinion on that, I got my opinion, but you know what, there's a bunch of stuff we agree on, let's focus on that. Okay, you know what, that makes sense, we can go execute the mission now. Instead, no, you know what, Dave, you don't agree with me on this, well, screw you, I don't even want to work with you. Now we can't operate, we can't get anything done. So obvious.
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
It's hard to look at too, because not only are you going to disagree with me, you're going to actively sabotage my efforts.
100%.
And the hardest part about that is that the reality is we are on the same team. Those two platoons in your task unit, they're on the same team.
They're very disturbing.
Yep.
I've been trying. I got to think of a way to articulate that a little bit more clearly, and present it in a way that people can see it.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult, because when you present it, if I present it to the platoon and say, hey guys, I think it looks like we're actually not helping here. We're not moving this thing forward. You know what one side says? Oh, so you're trying to take their side, are you?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens.
That's the point I was thinking when you said that. When you were sort of overt, like, I show a little bias towards this one team, which is all the other side needs to go, oh, I see what side you're on.
Oh, yeah.
I see what your
I don't
agenda is.
You're one of them.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at.
So I've got to think of a way to articulate this properly to people, because right now, but we don't understand it as Americans. We are in this sort of trap where there's a total lack of coordination between the different sides.
Yeah.
Our government can't even get anything done. They're losers. They're just not making any progress. And all they're doing is fighting with each other, and not realizing that while we're fighting each other, number one, there's other state actors that are feeding this fight. And while they're feeding our fight and we're having these infights, guess what these other state actors are doing? Growing their economy, unifying their people, growing their military strength, growing the will of their people. And we are being divided. think of a way to try and communicate this so people will hopefully start to understand it. I haven't done a good job thus far.